Welcome back to Man on the Mic podcast with your host MC Kitoto the Party Recipe alongside
Alimbacho Murenga, the architect of dreams.
yes. Yeah. Leo tuko na a male guest, yeah, which is a privilege. Hiki ndio Man on the Mic na mkuji. Msikuwe hivyo. Msikuwe hivyo. Kindly introduce yourself.
Yes, the man on the mic today is Caleb. I love Jesus. I'm a father of 3. My firstborn Taji, Wendo, and Tendaji. And during the day, I'm a branding and marketing guy at Graffiti Media. Mambo ya usiku tuachane nayo.
During the night you sleep.
Hauna tagline.
For now, no. But I've been inspired by you as
yeah. I think you're kosa. Ali, how are you? How have you been architecting your dreams?
Niko shwari, mambo dole.
Hapo sawa. Caleb ukoaje?
Niko fiti. Had a nice weekend. So I'm refreshed and I'm glad to hit this week. Imeanza in front of the camera. That's interesting.
Perfect.
Yes.
So, a lot, most of our viewers wanakuanga inspired by what we discuss here. Sasa discuss vitu za nini? Sitaki kusema za maana. Juu za maana wewe already ni mtu wa maana. So anything that comes from you uses umaana.
Thank you.
Yeah. Acha nikuulize Caleb.
Yeah.
Caleb ushai nini? Like before you decide that someone wants this could be a personal question. If it's personal, just say pass. Uko na mtu?
Yes, niko na mtu.
Perfect.
Na nampenda.
Okay. Mimi ndio uko na mtu. TMI haya unapendwa wewe mtu. Haya sawa. Do you, before, like, how long do you feel someone should take before they decide to settle? Na by settling meaning marriage.
Okay.
According to you.
Yeah, according to me.
Then inakuanga na nini? Inanga manual.
Yeah. Anyway, it doesn't have a manual, but kuna some guidelines tunaweza angalia. And this I would want to bring all the way from when I was a boy. Yeah, if because that's when a man really starts his journey in life. Even after you get married, it doesn't really end. You are continuing. Marriage is just part of, the steps that you will take. So every man has stages. When you're a boy, there are things you are learning. You're taking in a lot of stuff. When you become a teenager, there are things you're still learning, even about yourself, and you're taking in a lot of stuff. Then you hit this interesting stage of early adulthood, where now uko na kanyumba kako, whether it's mabati ama matofali, doesn't matter. You are now, you're starting out yourself. And I think that's the time most men have made some decisions that were not the best, some decisions that might have been rushed, some decisions that could have waited a little bit. Now, I feel like uki mess up that stage, early adulthood, and I don't mean Ali.
Early adulthood.
Unasikia watu walimari Ali. The others are marrying Ali.
Others marry Ali. Okay, so.
Yeah. During that early adulthood stage, I think is when you have to go back to finding out who exactly you are. Because even when you are a small boy, bado hukujijua. You learned a lot about yourself, but you really didn't know yourself. Now, what I will say is this, and I hope I'm not going too fast. Yeah? At that point, when you're becoming a young adult, I think it's the best time to go back to your family and try to find out who they are. Because in finding out who they are, then you'll learn a lot about yourself. Kuna vitu hawangeweza kukuambia when you are younger. They couldn't. You are a child. But now you've become a member of the family. And I think the more you stay with them, the more you will learn a lot about them. I hope I've answered your question.
Yeah, na feel kama
I hope I've answered your question.
Yako najua lakini hebu sema tu tena. Like how before you decide to, how long should someone date?
Should someone date? Date?
Yeah.
Could date too? See,
Before settling.
should someone date before settling? I don't have a specific number, but I strongly lean towards the side of you need to wait everything to calm down. Unajua ile time umeona msupa excitement iko ni tulia see beyond the beauty. Uone okay, sawa ni mrembo niko naye ama amebeba mzigo niko nayo. After hapo sasa what else? Unajua if you date for quite some time, the excitements na nini, all of that they go down. Now you start dealing with the real person. I think after you pass that stage of now you are able to put aside the beauty of someone and the flashy things, the physical attraction, get to know the person. Now is when you can decide this I can marry or let's end here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Unafeel pia unafeel kama kuna manual like kuna duration fulani,
kuna guidelines.
Kuna guidelines.
Yes, ziko mingi sana. For example, as a man tunajua roles zetu. If you are not in a position to perform those roles, go first, get to that position is when you go and look for a woman.
Okay.
Yeah, if you are not able to provide for your family, you don't need to have a family first.
Unafaa kwa mpole kidogo. Na hiyo sasa inamaanisha tu
work on yourself.
But to believe, just as I believe we date to get married, we just don't date to date.
Yeah, so personally I believe like that. If you are dating, you are dating to get married. Otherwise why are you dating?
Sawa uliza tu kwa kamera, acha kuniangalia sasa. Hiyo nini kwa hiyo like does it, we had a guest,
tumeanza discussion towards which direction
tuko na guest, ngoja tu upangwe, relax. Tuko na guest mwenye alisema yeye anataka kudate 7 months, si ndio? Alafu ako ready for marriage. Unafeel kama kuna
stima imeenda
unafeel kama kuna limitation, like wewe hiyo siku kuichukulia vizuri. Acha niko kwa Caleb kwanza. Juu wewe ukuichukulia hiyo kusema tu ati anataka kudate for 7 months, it did not sit well with him. Unafeel kama good ndo uko na good marriage, you need a lot of preparation or you need to date longer? Like does it take time ndo work on hiyo nini to have a good marriage?
Yes, see, that's the short answer, but I will bring it like this. Now this young adult, kuna mahali anaenda after that hajamaliza, there's a lot they have not even learned about themselves. Bado even though we have said take time, spend time with family, kaa nao wazee usikie wanasema nini. The uncle of yours used to be ABCD. That's who you are, by the way. But
no.
The sum total of all your family, that's you, and that's a person you either heal from or you build on. It's like that.
Okay.
But now when we are putting timelines on when to marry, I will bring it all the way back to relationships. How long has it taken you to know who you are? How many years has it taken you from the time you started going to school to understanding watu wanasema wewe unakuanga kichwa ngumu? Okay, maybe kichwa soft, it depends.
Ngumu
yeah, ngumu yeah, it has taken a lot of time. It's many years. When you say you're going to stay with this person for the rest of your life, do you know this person really? If you are to date for 7 months, for example, do you even know this person? There is some guy who said, and I can't remember where I was reading his text from, but he was saying every relationship has to go through so many stages before you really now settle down to say, okay, now I have seen you when you lost somebody. I have seen you when I was I was broke. When actually the word I wanted to say when I was big-headed. Nimeona vile umereact. I have seen you when we have gone through ABCD. We have gone through this and that. We have, we tried this together. It did work and whatever. All those seasons cannot happen within 2 years. So mimi huwa nashangaa, and I will not say I'm not advocating for it ama it's not okay. I'm just surprised when I hear people.
Shanga tuanze discussion. Sema wewe unashangaa nini?
Wewe unaliseti.
Shanga sasa ndo nikasirike na nyinyi wote hapa.
When I hear somebody saying you're going to meet somebody and within a year you're married, I mean seriously, you've just met. You don't know this person. And I believe you can avoid a lot of issues if you just take time to know this person. It takes a lot of time.
So mimi niko na swali, if it takes a lot of time. Sasa niko na shida hata si swali. Hii a lot of time nikidate mtu 3 years 4 years. Alafu nene tuko hatuwezi manzi. Alafu tena tuachane vizuri. That is better. I feel is better. Juu area broken relationship than marriage.
I agree.
So tena niingie kwa mwingine to date 3 years 2 years tuone haiwezekani. Tena niende kwa mwingine. At waste to time.
First of all, it's very you are stuck to me jina mbaya, but it's very crazy. After
Crazy
this
ni jina mbaya.
after dating someone for 3 years, if you are a normal human being, you have picked a lot. If you're going to the next relationships, there is something that you know. It might not take you another 3 years again to still take a lesson. And another 3 years again to kuna zenye there's some few things zenye
So some experience inaweza kupunguza timeline, si ndio?
Okay, kuna vitu sahihi wewe unajua tu like mde mwingine akiongea hivi unajua hapa
Acha toka
tunasumbuana sana.
Kuna vitu zenye I think unaweza pick na I think inaweza reduce your time. The next woman hata before mkatie unaweza tell we are not going anywhere, but unajua if maybe it's your first relationship most likely you will utamiss, utaona tu ni dem super ananipenda and you'll just be there, takes you 3 years, ujai hatubreakiwa, unaona tu utakufa, unaona vitu kama hizo.
By the way, I personally think the college of character development is a must for everyone. Lazima upitie huko. You can't go to marry kama hujavunjwa vizuri. And
But
not even by
there
one
are some
person.
people that they married their first girlfriend.
Yeah, they're there.
But
But
I think
statistics ni gani za kusupport mtu mwenye aminini. Alafu
but I think pia
kuna swali tatu kwa hiyo kitu yako
wanakiona
lakini unaenda haraka sana. Ati wamekaona.
wanakiona pengine huko ndani.
No. I know a few who are working out properly. Yeah. And like we say, not everything. We speak things in general, but there are outliers out there, and they are working out. But we are speaking in general. And
So in general mtakiona.
Sorry, go ahead.
In general mtakiona.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dust.
Sasa nakwambia ali umesema the more okay ina make sense. I agree with your point. Okay, not necessarily agree but ina make sense. So shida yangu ni Caleb. Wewe unaniambia in 3 years next sana nimelan kitu. So next time in 2 years will be enough. Alafu ikuetana ija work out niende in 1 year. Mbona isifike mpaka kwa 7 months? After kulan vitu. I have a problem if you want to date your first boyfriend for 7 months and then get married. Now that is a problem for me. That is my personal. Wewe mtu labda anataka kuoa. Sasa mimi just shida yangu. Shida ni kwa tu yangu kama nataka kumuoa yeye.
Mimi na believe na pengine Caleb anatuambia what he believes. Kuna na really major issues na kuna na tuseme minor issues. I think in as much hata uishi na I know someone when umeishi na bibi yake almost 50 years by the way. My dad is 40 something years also, but still they have issues. But sasa unafaa ujue kuna issues zenye uwezani. Unaona kuna zile issues zenye mnajua hii hatutaweza. Kuna zile issues kama tuseme if mimi nasahaungu Valentine. Unafaa tu saa zingine uchoke na mimi useme huyu naye. na tuendelee. Unaona hiyo ni issue. I think women, can you deal with that? Nikumbushe basi,
lakini ukikumbusha tena it doesn't bring you weight.
Ukinikumbusha 1 year 2 years maybe 3 years
no, I feel this guy is apologizing for something he has done.
Kuna kitu ameharibu. Anatumia kama platform.
Ile siku kwa ile siku ya Valentine I wasn't in the country.
He has left the country.
But kuna kwa issues zenye you cannot tolerate completely. Vitu kama a narcissistic person, you get an extremely manipulative person, a disloyal person. Unajua hizo ni zenye this is not an issue that we can deal with. You get na I think issues ni mingi kwa relationships. Mnaweza pata you are really compatible hapa na pale, mnaelewana nini amnanga, but still kitu tu ingine tu unapata tu kitu tu sijui imetoka wapi.
Yeah, sasa hiyo kitu ingine ama tena ni vitu, there are so many. Those are the things that cannot allow you, I believe, to marry somebody, to make such a permanent decision within 7 months.
Yeah.
Because relationships ni hivyo, you guys are compatible, you're working very well, but in both of your lives you've never dealt with a certain problem individually.
Yes.
Or maybe in your previous relationships, because hizo vitu zinakuanga, and then there's a way you will both react to whatever that external thing is. And it will also bring some pressure, because at that point you are just learning that how this thing is affecting you, how it is taking you wherever it's taking you. Then you also have to deal with each other. So I believe you need some time to go through life together. No mujuane mujue, okay, yeah, so this is the person I'm really getting down to. I wish I could bring another example, but it's very close to home, so sitaki kuileta. I'm looking for another lazima.
Hata mtumia link. Hataona.
An influencer.
Sasa hiyo ndo nini?
No, it's not an influencer, but yeah, it's somebody very close. I wish I could bring the nini, but anyway, wako sawa, I believe. There was a couple.
Now it's even closer.
Yes, it's closer. Yeah, there was a couple, and one of them lost their parent. Now you see, none of them had ever lost their parent before, and they were close with all their parents. But you see, this thing changed this person, changed the spouse. So you are dealing with grief, and at that time the relationship is still new. So you wondering, it became very confusing for the guy. It became very confusing, because that's the time you guys have been very close. You've been talking, and all of a sudden there's a distance, because this person is dealing with grief. Yes. Genuinely. So you see, issues like those will always come in life, and you can never prepare fully for them. So I believe it's good if you give your dating some runway. Muende muteseke, kule chuvi, mupate pesa, muzipoteze, mufanye nini. You do all that stuff to really understand each other. That's the best way, I think, you are going to cut out the red flags. Yeah, there was something else, if I may. There was something else you talked about, umeingia hii relationship, then after a short while you've jumped into another one. I think your pressure pia may mislead so many people into thinking that I'm growing old, so now they really jump into the next relationship and make it permanent. But you need to take time.
Hapo make it permanent ndio si agree.
But
jumping to another one.
Unakubaliana?
You should just jump to time hakuna.
Sijui unakuangana. Wait for you, unafaa tu move on to the next one very fast.
Bora tu usikuje na nini baggage ya.
Na baggage na iko lazima.
Baggage iko.
Una jump tu. Wewe ushe jump from something na hujabeba baggage.
Unaweza nini bana? Kuna zile zenye you can, I believe.
In some rare instances I will agree with you, but most of them
I think like if you really deal quickly,
I
think you can also move on quickly. Yeah.
I will say start dating earlier. Instead of waiting until you are 35.
Yeah.
Start dating earlier.
Once upon experience, you had to break mapema.
Dating earlier. Yeah, that's very true.
So to you, to both of you, it takes a good relationship takes time to be built.
Time, man.
Yes.
Time.
Takes time.
To me, I tend to disagree. It doesn't have to take time.
Why?
Juu unajua mimi ali ushaitupatana hapa statistic ingine hapo ya India. Ya venye watu wanakuwa na arranged marriages. Na watu olewa at what age?
20 something.
Lakini inakuanga ni arranged. Yani unajua huyu ndo already ukizaliwa you are betrothed. Na nini yao iko aje? Divorce rate yao 1%. Na India wako ngapi?
Over a billion.
Okay, sisi watu wa billion watu wako ready kuoa. Hatuwezi assume hivyo, but inaonyesha tu unaona hizo numbers venye 1% ya a billion, okay, pia ni namba bigi, lakini 1% ya a billion nafaa kuonyesha ile the success rate of doing these things bila hizi ma guidelines zenyu. hizi guidelines zenyu kwanza zinatupoteza juu kwanza hata hamjui kitu mnasema juu kuna manual.
where does India lie in the happiness index?
Yes, that's what I was supposed to say.
Ndio wako
Just because tunaishi na wewe miaka 50 pengine tuenjoy kwa hiyo 50 years.
Yeah.
We are together because of cultural beliefs or societal something.
Lakini pia si tunapoteza mwelekeo tunapoteza kale baje. Mi nafili kama nyinyi tumeanza kuangalia sana tufa kuwa happy.
But what's the point of life if you're not happy?
Bana, people need to get married as a duty.
Hapana.
As a,
Hiyo ni crazy for relationships specifically. Pengine ukose kuwa happy sijui wapi. But what is the point of being in a relationship? Mnaumizana. Alisema anakuja late, mapema amechelewa. Next time.
But happiness
Nitachelewa
Utadeal
zaidi.
na yeye. Anasafiri wewe unasafiri unaacha watu.
Anapenda kukula hii sitapika for the next one year. Ndo yani asikie vibaya. What is the point of being in a relationship then? Kama tunaumizana, there is no need.
I think kama umeweka hivyo, okay, ni venye unaona happiness for me nowadays has been really elevated to something that cannot even be met by anyone else including yourself. na hiyo kitu yenye umetaka mtu mwingine, wewe mwenyewe umeshindwa kujifanyia, unataka kuwekea mtu mwingine ndio kwa hiyo source of happiness.
That's wrong.
Na hiyo sio, ndio maana mimi nakwambia ukianza tu unaona ukifika tu place yenye ni duty tukurudua zile roots tu za kina David, unaoa juu kingdom inapigana na ile nyingine na mtaki muendelee kupigana kama duty, itafika place yenye it stops juu kama kila mtu usemanga relationships has to be, yani ndio iweze kuwork lazima kuwe na selflessness, si ndio? Na huku na sasa in our time and this time and age, selflessness in fact has to be, so if it has to be taught ama ni if it's something that you also have to do away with kwa nini yako juu ukiwa selfish aujui boundary ya narcissism inaingia wapi. Ukiwa selfless aujui boundary ya nini inaingia wapi, boundary ya kutojipenda, like the sacrifices you have to put in. Sasa naona mtu unaingia kwa relationship lakini hataki kuonyesha the nini. I think the only place I agree with you people ni 7 months. I feel is a very short time, especially being a man. I know in 7 months I can lie to you very well. 7 months. Hey, 7 months ni kidogo.
Let me ask, are you low?
Kwa mimi ni mjaluo by the way.
7
months.
I think 7 months is
kama
too much
miaka
for
tatu
you.
waiwezi. Sasa 7 months ni nini? By the for real.
I think even 3 months unaweza ingiza box.
7 months. By the time una realize huyu jamani narcissist, uko na mimba ya pili. In 7 months. Unacheza na mjaluo. Lakini sasa okay, my point being na agree na hiyo ya nini ya but kuna limit ya hizo guidelines zenye mnapeana. Juu mtu amedate 10 years. Does it assure that they'll have a perfect relationship?
No. It's not an assurance. But if they have dated happily
for
10 years, I think it's gonna be itakuwa easier, man. Itakuwa lighter.
Actually, it reaches a point where you even ask, it becomes getting married at that point becomes just a formal obligation. So that in case of anything, haujaacha huyu mtu nothing, you know. And by 10 years, if you've been dated for 10 years, unless there are some challenges somewhere, you should be having kids. Sure. I mean, sure. By 10 years. 10 years.
So in 10 years, like I saw, you know, tunapeana kwa na acha kwa Caleb. Sawa.
What are you doing 10 years?
In 10 years, unajua unaangalia kwa perspective ya Christian setup. Hakuna nini. The sex is after marriage. So in 10 years hakuna hata abstinence inaweza kuwa hapo.
Okay, now this is what I will say, and I will answer as Caleb. When it comes to the faith that we practice and whatever, I am still yet to get to a place where I've now joined these two things to my beliefs in what relationships are and what I believe in as faith to come and conjoin together and make one what's this word? There's a word that's disappearing. One conclusion, so to speak. There's a disconnect a little bit, but I'm getting there. What I will say is this: by the time mumepatana na huyu mtu and you've really dated for 10 years, something should have been birthed. Otherwise, it's a dead tree. it's either you've married ama you've stayed together, you have kids or something, because surely after all that time 10 years mumetuletea nini kwa meza kutuonyesha you guys are good? Surely man,
a child most man a child
Yeah, something, man.
wewe aliona nini you are 10 years if it's not an assurance kale bosha tuambia something as napenda hiyo ni kama metaphor hivi si ndio something has to be birthday is a child for you kama boomer
something has to be born. Could be a marriage. I gave examples. It could be a marriage. It could be a child. Preferably a child.
Ni sawa wewe kwako upande yako unaona nini those 10 years like unaona hakuna assurance ya like you said people could be happy,
but why would someone pia take that long?
Yeah.
What are you waiting for?
wewe unasema si anangoja hizo akona zile parameters za anaweza provide vizuri
that man afike place
ama the woman anangoja pia parameters za anaweza nacha vizuri. Maybe there's unajua mambo ya watu wawili hujui, maybe jamaa ako therapy ama dem ako therapy trying to deal with things ndo aingie kwa nini vizuri.
But Nisa, if it's good, it's good. If they're dealing with something, it's good. Let them finish. But really, 10 years, man, is a very long time.
It's a very
if you are
long
really waiting for 10 years, must
Yeah.
be for a very good reason. Reason unaweza simama mbele ya wazee.
Actually, in my end, there shouldn't be any reason to go 10 years.
10 years.
There shouldn't be a reason. One of you should wake up and say, Apad, we are just joking around. Yeah, there should be something here.
Yeah.
But I believe we are talking about relationships of, to say, young people. Because you see, relationships have many types. There are those who got divorced and then they met each other somewhere else. They already have
divorce
kids.
conference,
They-
Ni kweli.
yeah, I get you. Yeah, so these are divorcees that already have kids. They already have whatever. So maybe they've even decided they are not going to have kids. Maybe. Those guys can stay for the rest of their life.
Na unafilika watu kama wasa wanaweza chukua hizo 7 months.
7 months, I think they can. I think they can. But still, at that point, they will be wise enough. Because if you've gone through the institution of marriage, it teaches you a lot about there is no reason to rush anything. Really. There is too much you have not yet gone through.
Kwanza kitu shocking
Yeah.
sana ni
Kwa 10 years,
hata divorce ndo wanaweza take.
Yeah.
Hawatakimbilia hiyo
Yeah,
7 months.
Yeah.
Now they have like a different view on things.
Yeah.
Wataona, let's take our time.
Let's take our time.
Yeah, let's take
Because
our time.
if you look at marriage, what is the meaning? What is the purpose of marriage as a man? What is it really giving me? Because if I look at it from where I'm seated, I'm giving a lot. And what I'm giving, if we put it on a weighing scale, because it's a lot of it is tangible. On the other side, you might not find anything. So what value is it? I'm talking about kilos. By the way, nilianza na kusema niko na mtu. Sijamuacha.
Raja kuacha.
Yeah, but as a man, ukiekelea kilo, useme, yeah, you've done A, B, C, D, and you really start counting and doing all the things that you've done, tangible. There are so many. On the other side of the weighing scale, really, that scale will be very skewed. So what I get from it is something that I cannot give myself, and that's companionship. Without, as in, how boring will life be without this person?
Yes.
Sina mtu wa kuongea, because there are things I can't say in this podcast. There are things I can't tell my friends. And I have many friends, very crazy people here. Very silly guys.
Wanasikia.
Banter. Yeah. Serious banter. We can talk, we can plan business, we can do whatever, but there's something in us as men. When at the end of the day, or even during the day for some people, you have somebody who maybe they're even the ones who are doing the talking. You are not talking, but they are telling you, oh, kuna huyu alinisumbua, kuna huyu nini. That companionship, I believe it was even the reason why God aliangalia Adam hivi akasema hapana, huyu mzee ameboeka. This guy is lost. Somebody made a joke, it's not me, I have to be disclaimer, it's not me. Akasema ati God saw this guy didn't have problems, so akampatia. Because there was everything in the garden.
Akampatia chaos. Okay. bana point yako na umeleta home design yenyewe hata sijui venye naweza argue out point yangu lakini tu kama tunasema kuna guidelines za nini za maybe when we say good things do take time kama kuna hizo ku take time like could it be like a red flag when time is far much spent or little is spent in building that?
Yes.
Yeah.
You see the reason for waiting. I believe most people are waiting because apart from waiting, there is nothing else you can do. Most people are just waiting because they're in that position. They need to wait. If you need this phone, so you will just come and take it. If you need to get somewhere, you just go. But if you are waiting, inamaanisha there is something you are waiting. Yeah. But if there is nothing, you're just waiting. You're just in a relationship.
For the sake of it.
Uko tu hapo. It's taking long, and there is no reason for waiting. I don't think you should be waiting.
Ama you are in that relationship because there are some other pressures. You said you have to get married by 30. So now you are there, you are 25, now you are 27, you are 21, 28. Unaona time inaanza kuja, now you stop the waiting game and all of a sudden you're giving a young man pressure. I must get married.
And also the flip side of it, could it like a few months or years.
Or the flip side meaning?
Flip side, no, nimesema ingine ya kuwait, you're just waiting for the nini. Nimesema red flag, taking a lot of time. Is there a red flag for you na take little time?
Where are you rushing?
I believe it's dangerous.
Mnatusumbua. Juu essence basically time mzuri ni nini ba?
You see, if you are taking a lot of time, we believe you are waiting. You must be waiting
for something,
for a reason. You cannot just be waiting for nothing. Apana. And if you are rushing, what are you rushing for? Of which rushing many times does not end very well. You'll miss a lot when you are rushing. So I think there is a time for waiting. If you are dating, you must, the time you are taking is just to know this person, ujue easy na understand here and there, maybe compatibility na hizo zote zinaeleweka. But past that, there is no other reason for waiting.
I think I'm seeing your dilemma in a way. You're trying to get a figure,
a time,
number of
timeline fulani.
I believe that timeline exists in terms of the stages of life. For example, ukiangalia, there's a time you'll be in kole. It is a certain age. There's a time you'll come out and you'll start working. Obviously, at that time, if you're entertaining, if you want to get married at that time, you're going to mess up because you don't have the funds to really do anything. You have not built. That's a time to actually build yourself all the way to around 30. Now, I know discussion, many people don't agree that you should be married within a certain number of years. To some extent, I agree with them. But to some extent, I also believe by the time you are that age, you should have taken the time to do some things. Yeah, even when you look at the biological clocks that are involved on both sides, it tells you something about us as human beings.
Yeah.
So once you're done with building yourself, unakaribia huko ma 30s and whatever, during that time, I believe you're not single. And that is why we said, when it comes to relationships and the church, kuna mahali sijazileta pamoja bado. I'm still trying to figure out where they meet. But at that time, you should have dated a few people. Gotten your heart broken a bit. Usikuje kubrekiwa in the marriage, bala. It's bad. It's bad. Yeah. But those stages of life exist, and I believe they exist for a reason. And we shouldn't be selfish to ourselves and say, me, I want to get married at a certain time. And you really cut it off there. Anything can happen within that time. Anything can happen. So when it's time to build yourself. Go, if you already have a degree. If things are okay and you have a way of doing masters, go do your masters. If you want to change jobs, that's the time you change jobs because there's no responsibilities waiting for you at home. That is the time to really take care of you as you date. then ukiingia huko ma 30s maybe as a man, this is now my perfect scenario. As a man, I will say when you past 30 is when now you should now get somebody to say, yeah, let us see, and this is the end goal. And also being very honest to this person is another important thing. If you want to have fun, I won't judge you, I will listen, I won't judge you. but just be honest to the other person and really tell them whether watakasirika ama watakuacha, it is their right. Let them know that you are not in the market to really marry at this time. So you date as much as you want, but if you want to settle down at the end, mention it in passing or something. Let them know you're really serious, so that they also put their act together. Yeah, and then go there, because you see we have a benefit as men, I believe, in some way, in terms of our biological clocks. We can marry at 40. We can marry at 40. Yeah.
Ukisema hizo unataka kurespond?
Hapa ni true.
Nakuuliza, ukisema hiyo story ya relationships and faith, like you haven't brought it, what do you mean by you haven't
well, if you let me use the church. When you go to church, you'll be told don't date before you get married, and that's when
Church?
you are, yeah.
I thought mosque. Church.
Yeah.
Don't date before
you get
before
married?
you get married,
Wow.
and dating,
nimesikia hapo sasa.
and when I say dating, I mean what Kenyans do when they are dating. Yeah, it goes all the way to the bed. Yes. Yeah. It goes all the way to the bed. But when you look at the pressures and the way things are, it's I really feel sorry for young men of these days, because you can imagine you're trying to abstain, and worst case scenario, like we have had on social media, you find huyu mtu ana abstain na wewe peke yako, but huku kwengine abstain.
Akona mtu wa ku break abstinence.
Yeah. So while you are dating and you're spending as much time with each other, when you go to church, most times they don't advocate for that. You will date at a distance. Now, bringing those two together, because I believe when before we became, how do I put this? Before we became, let me use the word that they used, civilized, so to speak, and I don't like that word. Before we became civilized, people used to marry at a very young age. But now things have changed, but the human body has not changed. So now what are we doing? How are we controlling something that is still the same? And that's where the dilemma is. I know with time I'll come to understand it.
Me, I have never understood it.
Yeah.
I do not feel, in as much as tunaweza give a time frame, like due of the changes may happen in life here with the economy and all that. As a man, maybe you'll be somewhere in your life in your 30s, but your biology, by the time you are 20 20 ni mbali, lakini you can vumilia until 20. Unaweza jaribu sana, but after hapo now inakuwa very difficult. So hata mi nashindwanga, now what?
Wote unasemanga ati the reason yake ya sasa you need to marry early. So no, mtu 7 months mweleweni.
You need to marry mostly for women. You for women, apart from your sexual urges, your reproductive health now starts going to a bad place. So in some way I look at that thing now, even in the eyes of God, I think he designed us to marry early. I think even women, like even the mother of Jesus, I think gave birth to Jesus at 16 or 17. Yeah.
Okay. Mbona nakanika ushesema kitu kama hiyo. You are advocating for very young very young like commitments. Caleb, do you unaona kama place yenye tuko now that this is the situation that has been presented to us? We have been civilized na unasema tufike 30. Kwanza unakuka 30 manze, kwanza unasema 20 unazashikilia 30 manze. Mimi niko 30 sasa najua. Sasa unaona ukifika place yenye like is it the ideal way of dating, the Christian way?
Okay. There are two things, and I believe here we are speaking to the general public. If we are talking about the Christian way, the way it has been presented, the way even the gospel has been brought to us, it is not ideal. But if we talk about the other guys maybe who, you know, wanna follow their own things and they live in the same society with us, maybe they follow something else. But both of us have to take time. Bottom line is both of us have to take time. You can't be rushing. Number two, you can't be sleeping with everybody that you meet or dating everybody that you meet. Like the way you are saying, you've just jumped out of these 3 years, then umeingia ingine and you're just jumping around, or you've done 10 years and there's nothing to show for it, surely. Yeah. So I believe both of us have to take time to know ourselves, then time to know the other person, then time to know ourselves together.
1 month, 2 months, 4 months. I don't know if you Christian. The Christian way is the perfect way. Is it working?
I think kitu imeharibu hiyo Christian way. First of all, I always say this, I think almost every time we speak about relationships. I always say they originated from God. If you are coming with the new design, most likely itakuwa shida pali. I think the Christian way, yes, for me I lean towards that side because hakunanga kitu mingi sana wanasemanga outside ya date a fellow believer and abstain. I think everybody, niliona kitu fulani and they were not Christians, they were saying that put away sex from your relationship and now spend time with that person. You will quickly realize whether this thing is going to work or not. On the other side, you and I mean too, if you involve sex, easily you will end up with a wrong person. So that's why I think like your abstinence will be very important if you are looking to build a long-term relationship or something like a marriage. But even if you are not still looking to build something like that, how tuko na shida ngapi from just fornication? A lot of problems. I think fornication is bringing more problems than good things. Kuna kitu good thing fornication inaleta which good thing?
Mtoto.
Mwenye amecome from an environment that
lakini si ni mtoto wa Mungu.
Ni sawa lakini ni wa Mungu, lakini si amekuja kwa environment yenye is not like
it's not the ideal way of the child coming into the world.
It's not there. It's not the ideal way. So I think like hiyo like somehow na feel the Christian part iko sawa, but sasa unajua inaharibiwa na penye life imefika. Penye life imefika inaharibu hiyo kitu kabisa.
Life imefika wapi yani?
Juu kweli if you are in a position right now, lazima kitu trend, unaona? Alafu people are living like in a lot of like things zenye cannot even come to reality, you know, like it's normal, very normal for even a 30-year-old man not to have a lot of money. It's a normal thing, kwani umetoa wapi unless umeinherit or something. But hata ukiwork hard, especially because a country ka yetu, you will attain financial freedom at around age 50 something years.
Yeah, somebody said 50.
So inakujanga hapo. So unless you are very special, tuna believe when ni mtu wa Mungu amekujalia. Still it can come early, but in early 20s still most probably not. Still no. So unaona sasa kitu kama hiyo, how do you handle waiting to that place? Juu mademo ngapi watakubali, especially kwa church, mademo ngapi watakubali hata wa church tukuje tuanze life kwa from zero? Wachache sana. Juu hiyo kitu iko hadi church, like tunaonanga kwa ma weddings. Like you are a poor, sorry to say, but you're coming from like very poor family.
It is poor, let us call it what it is. It is
you're coming from a poor family. Kwa harusi yako you are sitting in Range Rover. Wacha hizo man, like
so akai wapi asikai
kwa tu kwa level yako. Don't so I think you know, I think hapo inakuanga ngumu.
Ulikuwa na kitu
fornication, I call it lust, and it is something that you'll find very many men are dealing with that. They are struggling with lust. Na haijaanza today. Everybody, I mean, there are so many stories even historically that, you know, lust just brought problems. Another joke from the Bible by my friends, not me, walisema King David was the first guy to watch porn because he was looking at someone. Bad joke, but
wale angels walikuwa
angels gani?
Which angels?
The ones who need to sleep with the daughters of men. Okay, ni besides the point, ni sawa.
Okay.
Ndo giants wakatokea.
Only fallen something.
Sawa, endelea.
Yeah, there was that as well. Yeah. So last is really bringing problems. But there is something you've touched on in terms of, kukalia Range Rover at your wedding when you can't, even your rent does not afford the fuel for that car. Those expectations, they go even far beyond planning the wedding itself. Those expectations are there even when you are dating. Somebody expects you to be sexually active in a certain way, or they expect you to provide in a certain way. And at that time, both of you are nowhere in life. If we really look at that 50-year-old whatever, you are nowhere in life, bado. So we need to cut down on all those expectations as well and just be honest with each other and say, we are going to take some time and really learn ourselves as we grow. Funny enough, you will notice that the couples that have really gelled together, they are normally very blessed. There are guys that
And
I
there's
know.
a scripture for that, by the way. If two people live in peace, God will command a blessing in them.
Amen to that, man. Yeah. Yeah. Because you find these guys, you look at them, they started without much. You were there, you saw. They started without much. They were very humble, but they loved each other. They were together. We are not saying they didn't have problems. It's only constant. But the way they have handled each other, they have gone, they have grown. All of a sudden, they are the ones who have several businesses in a certain area. All of a sudden, now they have a car. Those days, mulikuwa mnawapewa lift. Siku hizi, ninyi ndo mnapewa lift. Or muko in the same convoy, something like that. Yeah, it's very weird. So the place of peace in a relationship all comes from cutting down your expectations, then taking the time to grow. It's not going. You're not going to demand for a Range Rover today. You can't afford it. Take your time, man. Itakuja. It will come.
Mmeshinda. Lakini nafeel tu yani based on okay when you say like good things do take time. I feel ukipeana example kama like you Caleb yani ukweli. Ama when someone just starts okay I also believe that maybe mnaweza niambia what you think. There are levels to what humble beginnings look like to people.
For people, yeah. That's true.
Juu humble beginning ya mtu mwingine si yako. So huwa madem kwake anaona mimi mazeni kuambia unianze tu na range. Mazeni we are very humble. Ni kweli we are very yani this is a humble background. Alafu kuna mwenye ukimwambia tuanze tu si utembea. As long as tumeshikana mkono we are together. Kuna solidarity, then to them that is humble. I feel like if we just know and realize where we are now you kukaa chini na have serious conversations, I feel like it is a good way of approaching marriage. Sasa mimi nimewachia uwanja ni wenyu. Like if you have something to ask Caleb.
To ask Caleb.
Kabla aende unajua before Caleb ndo tumpate tena manze. Tumpate tena.
Utapata you guys are good. I want to come back.
Wanna feel like where does all these things ilichangia wapi? Because our mothers like they really had no problem with the like humble beginnings. It's just like our sisters, our modern women ndo wamekuja na all these things, but our parents did not have a problem with this beginning.
So your question is where did it start? Where did it turn off?
Yeah, is it men ndo wamekuwa lazy? Juu kitambo unajua wanaume ilikuwa kufika 17 years unaanza kazi kama ni kwa duka ya babako ama ni wapi and I don't know where is it from the men's side or the women's side or what changed?
I think there has been constant shift in the world. If you look at what our parents had, is very different. When I speak about my parents, wao walikuwa wanakuwa booked by the government when they are in their second year of campus. Tayari ushaambiwa hii this is the ministry you're going. Yani it's almost like hata unapeleka unaambiwa ndio itakuwa desk yako. You know, it's done. Right now population may increase, may change, things are different. Their governments can no longer afford to do that. Okay, maybe they can, that's another conversation. But imefika mahali life has shifted again. It has changed. Now it is everybody has to take part in this thing we call capitalism. Come and provide something on the table, you'll get paid for it. But you'll see that opportunities are not the same. That notwithstanding, I still go back to the point of jijue kwanza. if you are not like Elon Musk, whose parents were in a certain way, even Zach, his parents were a certain way, they could afford to drop out of college and focus on their dreams. Their funding came from somewhere. If you are not from such a place, why are you dropping out of college, for example? Now, that is for men. When
Because,
I take it...
because education is not the key.
It's engineer.
It's a determinant in this community that we are in right now. In this society, the way it is, it's a very big determinant. Where was I? Now, that is mainly to the side of men. And for the ladies, if at home you don't have a Range Rover, where are you demanding this Range Rover comes from this guy?
Instagram.
Yeah, you went to Olewa na Instagram basi you atala na mimi, you know. Yeah, but there was a shift. There's been a constant shift, and I believe we are not yet there yet. It is still going to change again, but love remains the same. That one has never changed. And the most beautiful love is where two people meet and say, now let us look at the future together. This is where we are. This is what I have, this is what you have, this is what I plan to be for you, this is what I plan to be for you, if you know it by that time.
Inaweza kataa kujipa.
I don't think so. Because the examples I have out there, all of them have worked out.
Have worked
Yeah.
out, yeah.
The ones who are very genuine with each other and say, you know, you come from Getikali. Sisi kwetu hata hiyo geta kuna. Hata hiyo geta tula. But, you know, if you really decide, you're going to stick with me, twende. I'm telling you, like you've said, there's even a scripture in the Bible that speaks a blessing on it. You just see life changing. But unfortunately, where we are, people don't see it that way. I think your Instagram unasema, it has brought a lot of glass and a lot of expectations that are not realistic. So the best thing, go back to knowing who you are, know the other person, and hopefully I pray you meet somebody who also knows themselves. Yeah. And then, you know, take it off.
Hapo sawa.
Karibu.
I feel like na hizo vitu umesema it's a good way of concluding the nini manze. Caleb, the one, the only. Learning relationships with Caleb. Asante sana for coming in. We do not take it for granted.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, this was nice. Muniite tela.
We
On a serious
hope.
note, call me again.
Utabaki umeomba lakini hapana, sisi tutakuomba ukuje. With that said, manze, we've come to the very end of today's episode. We thank you for staying tuned to the very last bit. Na ukae ngoje Caleb arudi tena atuambie maneno yake. We'll leave all his like details. Anafanyanga
Yes, branding and digital marketing. Yeah, so that you can interact with his content. Leave a comment on this video, like, share with people you think they'll learn from this, and DM us on our social media handles. Someone will reach out if you'd like to be a guest na uko na kitu ya kusema. With that being said, enjoy the rest of your week. Adios.